The more I dedicate myself to climbing the ladder of success, and the only reason that I'm really doing this now that I'm in the place that I'm at, just overall in my life altogether, being more focused and more ambitious and more driven and really understanding what it takes to succeed in the modern world, and also staying true to who you are despite all of everything that is going on around you. It's going to take a particular kind of inner self-confidence and inner self-belief that is going to drive a lot of people to misunderstand exactly what you're trying to do and to misunderstand exactly what you're here to accomplish. Now, with that being said, the topic for today is that unless they have better outcomes than you, then you don't need to take what they have to say seriously. Now, for those of you that do not know, my name is Thaddeus, and this is the Regal Change YouTube channel. For those that are new, welcome. This is going to be a topic that we're gonna dive into some things here, so buckle up. This one's gonna be something to really give you some food for thought and hopefully give you a sense of understanding of what it takes to actually maneuver in the world and orient yourself in a way that is more stable emotionally, physically, and spiritually going forward. So, all in all, throughout history, everybody that has tried to find something about you that they do or do not like, everything that happens to the person that actually shows and comes back with the meat, right? You might be the kind of man that is able to go out on the hunt, so to speak, and you're able to bring back the game. And it's up to the people now that you've done your skills. Now up to them to show what they can do. Sometimes people are going to surpass their skill sets, and sometimes people are not going to be able to fulfill that skill set. What I've learned most recently, I don't know exactly what's been making me different or just what I've been doing differently, because I've been moving relatively the same, but all of a sudden over the last week or so, my extroversion and my ability to communicate has rapidly increased. And I've seen in real time how your socializing ability and your emotional intelligence, in one way, shape, or form or another, is going to determine the level of respect and the level of understanding and the level of cooperation that you get from other people. If you can demonstrate a certain kind of confidence and a certain kind of competence along with that competence, well, all of a sudden doors start to open for you. But if you don't have the people skills to communicate properly with individuals and be able to relate to other people, you're not going to be able to make it in this world. You're just not. Now, I know a lot of people, and I was once this kind of person as well, where I still need time alone to think. I still need time alone to gather my thoughts. I still need time alone to just emotionally regulate myself as well. Because it's not that I can't do those things around other people, because when I'm doing things around other people, when I'm talking to other people, I can communicate. I can get different kinds of ideas based off of the interactions that I have with people. But ultimately, what I've understood, particularly over this last week where social life has just skyrocketed, just talking and talking to way more people recently, it's almost like in seeing that, I am now understanding how some people are also not going to be able to handle your energy. It's like today, this guy started having a conversation with me at the gym. He just started telling me about like how he's always watching me and how he's always seeing me work hard and all this stuff. And then, his energy at the time, at the moment, was receptive and open minded. And so I was like, okay, well, like he seems like someone that I could have a conversation with, because I'm not very open to just having conversations with whoever. But I'm also aware that, especially now over the last week, I've seen the results. I've seen everything happen. It's like just in real time in the physicality of life, not necessarily on the digital community, on the digital side, but in the physical side of things, it's like when your social life is increasing rapidly and people actually start to know who you are and what you're about. It's some people say like the good old, it's not what you know, or it's who you know. I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. I'm starting to think that it's neither what you know or what you know. Wait, it's not who you know or what you know. It's a matter of who knows what about you. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a matter of who knows what about you. Because your reputation and your image is going to be far more important than you think that it's going to be. This is something that I didn't pay attention to enough in my early 20s. I'm 27 now, and I did not pay enough attention to growing this kind of understanding in my early 20s, mainly because I was surrounded by people, and you may have this kind of experience as well, people watching this. I was surrounded by people my entire life that only wanted things based off of their materialistic desires. They didn't want things or treated, they did treat people as things to some degree, and not necessarily not always necessarily in a way that would demoralize them or dehumanize them, but it was very give and take, in the sense that it was most definitely a surface level relationship and no true deeper connection ever really formed. It was always very surface level. I'm not that kind of person. I don't like talking about that kind of surface level stuff all the time. But now I'm beginning to understand the importance that you're going to have on a society, or if you want to have any kind of influence, because ultimately people are going to do whatever it is that is going to happen for them, right? They're going to do what they do. And people are very unpredictable. But if you want to have any kind of resemblance of influence in this life, not only do you have to walk the walk and talk the talk, you also have to be able to relate, even if that's on the surface level, with people. And I'm starting to understand that more and more and more. And I realize now, even in my early 20s, like I would just shun people because I didn't want to talk about surface level things. And it's not necessarily that like you should talk about surface level things, but it's like sometimes somebody just needs a little bit of encouragement on the surface level. Sometimes people just need anything but division, right? Sometimes people just need some kind of ounce of unison to just continue forward. And this is something that is going to take productive and proactive listening skills, active listening skills, active responsing, and not just reaction, right? Because we also have to make sure that we are not absorbing everybody else's perceptions or ideas of reality. Because if we're doing that, if we are actually absorbing everybody's perceptions of reality, then you become a liability. You are no longer an asset. You are you yourself, your authentic self, are the biggest asset to other people when you are being who you are. And that's way easier said than done, right? It's like, oh, be who you are. What the does that mean, right? Like, and I understand what kind of advice is that. Well, what do you really mean by be who you are? Well, be truthful, strive for the good, and be capable of charisma, be capable of understanding the difference between making something and taking something. If you are making something, then that means that you know how to generate from within. If you are taking something, then, well, you're not really doing much with your life apart from just taking. For example, I will not say names on this channel, but I will say that I knew someone that was once my boss in a previous position years ago. And he was my boss, and then he actually bought the company that someone else built through time. Now, this guy, he had already talked to me about how he had like $100,000 in debt from school. And then he just bought the company that I was working with and for at the time. And I knew how much the company was worth. And, you know, granted, it was a small company, but it was still worth a large sum of money. Okay. Like it wasn't, it wasn't no pocket change. That's for sure. And I thought to myself, how the hell do you have that much debt already? Because he had told me that like a year before. Maybe not even a year before, just a few months. And then he goes and he buys the actual company, and it's like he just snatched it right up. And this is what I've learned about people with narcissistic traits. I'm not saying that he was a narcissist, but he had very highly narcissistic traits. And something that happens with narcissism is you'll oftentimes build stuff up, and then they'll be the ones that come in to take it. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to make, right? They don't know how to make things. So a lot of the times, these kinds of people don't have the kind of outcomes that you do, or that you will. Like, you know exactly where you're going. You have something that you're building. Maybe you're not all right where you want to be, but you've actually made something. You didn't just take it and now you're like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Like, you are actually making something, and you're not in that much debt. Maybe you're not in debt at all, but you're actually creating something for yourself. Maybe you're just creating who you are. That could be something too. A lot of the times, these people out here, they're so focused on other people's lives that they don't even know how to create their own. This is one thing that I've learned also, especially as a YouTube like creator. I don't consider myself necessarily a YouTuber per se, but this is just something that is part of what I do, really. And something I've learned is that when you are constantly putting yourself in a creative state of mind, you start to actually think differently than most people in the world. And especially with okay, let's say you're working out, you're eating healthy, you do these kinds of things regularly, you have a decent stable job, maybe you've got a side hustle, maybe you have your entrepreneurship is your business that you're working on, but you have ways of being that you created so that you can become self-sustainable. Hello, that's like not 90, that's almost anybody but 90% of the population. 90% of the population doesn't know how to do these things. And that's okay. That's fine. That's all good. Because what I've learned from just starting to follow Jesus over 2 years ago was I need to, number one, join or go somewhere else. It's not necessarily that I'm going to be bad if I choose to go somewhere else. If I don't follow the path of righteousness, if I don't follow the path of creation, if I don't follow the path of the Creator himself, It's not necessarily that I'm bad, but it's that I'm going to go to a bad place, and I'm going to go to a place that is not as good as it could be. So I chose to join. And that's exactly what we all need to do now. In our lives today, we need to choose. Are we going to join, or are we going to go somewhere else? This reminds me of the Benjamin Franklin join or die with the snake for the American Revolution. The snake was split into 13 pieces representing the 13 colonies. And the founding fathers at the time, they were join or die. But it wasn't necessarily like join or die, like we're just going to kill you if you don't join us. It was a join or die for themselves. They knew that if they didn't join in on the battles that were going to become from the British at the time, they were going to die. So we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at the outcomes that are coming from each other. And it's okay, it's okay to see where you're at and accept that it's not where you want to be. It's okay to give yourself the honest, hard truth. Because when you do have those kinds of outcomes, when you do have the things that you know that you're capable of deserving, I shouldn't say deserving, you're capable of earning, rather. I don't like that word deserve. Ugh. But you're capable of earning this thing. And when you do earn it, that's when you'll be able to show, all right, well, whose life would you prefer? Whose life would you prefer? What kind of lifestyle? And ultimately, for me, I would choose the path with Jesus overall. Anything godly. That's my path. That's where I'm going. I'm going to the promised land. You guys can join, or you can go somewhere else. But take a look at the outcomes. And those people that are trying to tell you how to live your life, when they don't have the outcomes that you kind of want, you don't need to listen to them. You don't. Especially if they're family or close friends. Sometimes you got to let go of the kinds of perceptions of those kinds of people if they're not where you want to be anyway. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.